Noek is one of my favorite places in the world. The air is always filled with music and drums echo off of the walls of the valleys. This place feels alive. But there's a mystery here that has been haunting me for years. And today we're finally going to solve it. A couple years ago, I started collecting old artifacts from all over Africa. Some are musical instruments, like this talking drum, which I made a video about. Others are just strange objects whose purpose I can't even fathom. And then there's this thing. It's called the Hollow Ivory of Noak, and I have no idea what it is. It's made of ivory, likely from an elephant's tusk, and hollowed out with a very specific shape. The two ends are sealed, but there's an opening in the center, making the whole thing look like a tube. This piece is so strange that when I showed it to some friends, they thought it was fake. But I found it in the village of Shawa, right at the entrance to the Noak civilization. And I've since seen similar ones in other villages. So I know it's real. But what is it? When I first got it, I tried blowing through it like it was a flute, but it didn't make a sound. Then I turned it sideways and blew into the hole near the end. To my surprise, it produced a deep, resonant tone, almost like a didgeridoo. Now, if I blow across the opening, it makes a lower-pitched sound. And if I cover the hole, it makes a higher note. But no matter how hard I try, I can't figure out how to play this thing properly. There's no way to produce a melody. It's just a drone. So let's get to the bottom of this. I took it to a master drummer in Ghana, Baba, who's played for the King of England and the King of Mali, as well as everyone in between. He was kind enough to take a look, but he had no idea what it was. He said that while the sound is similar to a didgeridoo, it's not the same because you can't really play a melody with it. So we're going to have to do some more research. And our first stop is the National Museum in Accra. The curator here told me that these are called nung, which means flute in the local language. But there are no markings on this one saying where it's from or how old it is. All we know is that it comes from the area of Noak, which is here. The Noak culture flourished between 100 BCE and 500 CE. Which is crazy to think about, because this piece could be thousands of years old. But archaeologists aren't actually sure if the Noak people actually made it. That's because before the Noak lived here, another group, known as the Vono people, settled along the Benue River. They were hunter-gatherers, but around 1500 BCE, something changed. Maybe due to climate change, they started farming crops like yams, and also raised livestock, becoming what we call the Noak culture. Sometime after that, the Daka people migrated from the north and brought ironworking technology, which caused a huge increase in population. Eventually, the Kanambu people arrived and conquered them, taking over their land and forcing them to move to the mountains. And that's why today, most of the Noak artifacts are found here. But back at the museum, I learned that this artifact may have nothing to do with the Noak at all. Instead, it may have belonged to one of these cultures, which would make it much younger. So the next day, I headed back to Noak to figure this out once and for all. Along the way, I stopped by a village to meet a friend. I told him about my hollow eye of Norco and asked him if he knew what it was. Luckily, he did. And you won't believe what he said. He told me that the nung are not used for music, but for calling spirits. Each village has a special nung for communicating with their ancestors. When someone passes away, their spirit enters the nung and becomes the village's protector. Villagers will then blow through the nung to invite the spirit to come and dance with them at festivals. Now you understand why I couldn't figure out how to play this thing. It's not a musical instrument. It's a conduit for the spirit world. And this changes everything. There's one more thing I need to show you. The very first time I played the Hollow Ivory of Nak, something extraordinary happened. As I was walking through the jungle, I started hearing voices. I thought it was just a trick of the wind, but then they became clearer, and I realized it was drumming. I followed the sound until I came across a clearing. In the middle was a massive tree with several people gathered around it. At first they were scared to see a stranger, but when they saw that I was holding a nun, they became very excited. They invited me to join them, and as soon as I started playing, the dancing began. Every time I blew into the nun, the tree seemed to shake. I thought maybe it was hollow and there was a big space inside, But that's not the case. It's solid wood. But now, I believe the tree itself was responding to the vibrations. You see, the entire forest here is covered with spirit beings. Every tree, rock, and stream is alive. And sometimes when you make music, they want to join in. Now I understand why people build shrines for trees. Another thing I learned is that each village has a special nung that they pass down to the next generation. This one was actually given to me by a village elder. He wanted me to have it so that I could continue learning about its powers. He even gave me permission to take it back to America. So now that I'm home, I wanted to test it out. I went out to a clearing in the woods to practice. As I played, I felt a presence behind me. I turned around, but there was no one there. Then I heard footsteps. As I kept playing, they got closer and closer. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a man sprinting towards me. I stopped playing, but he kept running. Then, he tripped and fell. He looked up at me and started screaming. At first I was scared, but then I realized he wasn't pointing at me. He was pointing at the ground. When I bent down to look, I saw something unbelievable. Right in front of me was a giant anthill. And as I watched, ants started pouring out of it. This goes back to what my friend told me about the nung. He said that they can cause mischief if you disrespect them. And I think I did something wrong when I was playing. Some people might say this is a coincidence, but I disagree. I've spent countless hours playing music in the jungle, and I've never experienced anything like this. That's why I believe the hollow ivory of Nok is more than just an artifact. It's a powerful tool that can connect us to the spirit world, if we know how to use it. The people of Nok have protected this knowledge for thousands of years, and I feel honored to have learned it from them. I hope you enjoyed coming along on my journey to uncover the secrets of the hollow ivory of Nok. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos about African music. A special thanks to my supporters who make videos like this possible. Now it's your turn. Tell me, have you ever experienced anything strange while playing music? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Until next time, stay tuned and keep making music.